Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Inshallah, today we shall speak in brevity about the grave, the questioning of the grave, the questioning of the angels in the grave. The Prophet ﷺ informed us that when a person is buried, the angel returns to him with the soul, returns to put the soul back in his body. And then two angels, they come and they ask the slave, the person who has just been buried, questions. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the person would even hear above him the footsteps of the people leaving his grave, his funeral. He would hear that. He would hear that. And two angels would come to him, the first one named Munkar and the other named Nakir. And these two angels would sit down the slave, the person, male or female, and ask them questions. And these questions are regarding the iman that the person had. If the person was Muslim, if he was a pious Muslim, he would answer with total comfort, and he wouldn't be at all disturbed by the angels. And why do I say disturbed by the angels? Because when the Prophet ﷺ, he described them, he said aswadani azraqan, which means black and blue. I've heard them in English say they're a navy blue color, meaning that the person who sees them normally, naturally would feel a strong sense of fear because of their appearance. But the pious Muslim, Allah would make his heart firm in that these are angels, they are good Muslims, they are here to reward you, inshaAllah. And the person who is full of iman, when they ask him, what did you used to say about Muhammad? He would say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the angels would say to him, we knew that you used to say that. Now, we know that the questioning, we know that in Al-Jannah, the language is Arabic. And there's a hadith, a sahih hadith that confirms that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, love Arabic for three reasons. Because I am Arab, because the Quran is Arabic, in the Arabic language, and because the language of the people of Ahlul Jannah, of heaven, is Arabic. And that hadith is narrated by Al-Bayhaqi, and he classified it as sahih in a book called Shu'abul Iman. Now, as for the questioning of the grave, what I heard from the teachers whom I learned from, they said that it's not necessarily in Arabic. It's in the language that the people normally spoke in, or spoke in while they were in this world. So if they spoke English, it would be in English. If they spoke Spanish, it would be in Spanish. Whatever language that they spoke in. And there are three people that are exempt. They are not asked. There are three groups of people. Who are those groups of people? Of course, the prophets. The prophets are believers, without a doubt. Always they had belief, and they never disbelieved in Allah, in the truth, for a split second. And therefore, there is no need for them to be asked. And they are exempt from this questioning. And the shaheeds, when we say shaheeds, we mean the Muslim who died as a martyr in the battlefield. And in the religion there are different types, there are different levels of shahadat, of martyrdom. And the highest shahadat is the shahadat, is the martyrdom of al-ma'raka, the shahadat of the battlefield. And there are hadiths that mention that the person who falls from a high elevation, he falls from it, he dies as a shaheed. The person who is burnt alive, he dies as a shaheed. The person who drowns, he dies as a shaheed. It's even mentioned in some hadiths, if a person died outside of his country, if he was a foreigner in a country, he would be considered as a shaheed, his death. But when I say shaheed in reference to the exemption of the su'al, of the questionings of the angels, that I'm referring to al-ma'raka, the shahada of the ma'raka. Died in the battlefield where the enemy, where a person is fighting the enemy and he's killed by the enemy. And his niyyat is to spread La ilaha illallah, to raise the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. His sincere intention that is in his heart is for the sake of Allah and not for any worldly purpose or worldly gain, whether it's fame or popularity between the people or for any other reason. So that's what we mean when we say the shaheeds. The shaheeds, shahadatul ma'raka. And of course the children, they're not asked in the grave. They're not questioned in the grave. And when we said that the pious Muslim, he would answer. In the hadith it says mu'min. And the mu'min and the Muslim have the same meaning. In some circles that I've been in, when they say mu'min, they think that if a person is a mu'min, then he's not a Muslim. They think a mu'min means a really good Muslim. And this is an incorrect understanding. It's a misconception. A Muslim is a mu'min. A mu'min is a Muslim. But when we say usually mu'min, when people, in some hadiths, when it says mu'min, or when it says, when it speaks about the mu'min, it means the person whose iman is complete. The person who's doing his obligations and refraining from the sins. The pious Muslim. But it does not mean that if a person falls into sins here and there, we don't call him mu'min at all. That's not permissible. That's not permissible, because the ayah in the Quran al-Kareem, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَرْتَابُوا, meaning that the believers, the mu'minun, are those who believe in Allah and His Prophet, and they don't have raib, they don't have irtiyab, they don't have shak, doubt, they stay firm on that belief. That's the meaning of mu'min. And the Muslim, he submits to the orders of Allah. He's a Muslim and a mu'min, they carry the same name. But in the hadith, when it says mu'min, it means the Muslim. It means the Muslim. It does not mean a person who just says, I believe in God. That's not enough. That's not enough. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in the famous, he said, مَا مِنْ يَهُودِيٍّ أَوْ نَصْرَانِيٍّ يَسْمَعُ بِي ثُمَّ لَا يُؤْمِنُ بِي إِلَّا كَانَ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ النَّارِ. Which means there is no Christian or Jew that has heard of me, heard of the Prophet ﷺ, and not believed in me, except that person would be in the hellfire. So we need to be careful here, because we have people that go on this internet and they tell people, if you're a mu'min, if you're a believer, if you believe in God, if you're a Christian or a Jew, the angels will be happy from you, and many good things would happen to you in your grave. They say, just as long as you're a believer. Well, our response to those people is, shame on you,